Fubuki was at a different location than before. This time it was the AH Tokyo General Hospital High-Tech Medical Center in Yoyogi. That is a long name. It was supposedly one of Japan's most advanced hospitals. According to what I read on the internet, patients with the new encephalitis that everyone was talking about were being gathered here for special treatment. But I'd also read lots of really bad urban legends about the place, and I was a bit worried about what kind of horror show I'd find there. But of course, when we arrived, it was nothing like that. It was very clean, and decorated like a luxury hotel.
Mayuri-chan, Hokari-san, こっちです。
Oh! I think this is the first time we see Yuki and Kaede in their summer sprites. Summer clothes, yeah. Well, okay, this is the first time I'm seeing their summer sprites of them wearing their clothes that they usually wear during the summer, because the majority of Steins Gate Zero actually takes place in the winter. Well, at least for the, route I was on, a lot of it took place in winter. But now, so now we're seeing the summer sprites. That's actually very interesting. Of course, well, it makes sense that they're wearing, lighter clothes during the summer, because if they're still wearing their, winter outfits, they might be a little bit warm since it is June 25th. Kaede and Yuki waved to us as we entered the lobby. Yuki had gotten a message from Kaede as well, and had evidently come right over. So wait, okay, that does get me into the question of, does Mayuri Sprites have her wear her school uniform then? That's interesting, because in the original Steins Gate game, she barely wore her school uniform. Huh. That is interesting.
大丈夫だよ。
Yuki gave Mayuri a soft hug and a smile. Kaede bowed her head apologetically.
驚かせてごめんね。私も焦っちゃって。もっとちゃんと確認してからメールすればよかった。
というと、中瀬さんの容体は？
今、病室で吹雪ちゃんのお母さんに会えたんですけど、例の病気が悪化したとかじゃないそうです。
I was actually getting really nervous at the end of last video, to be fully honest, so I'm kind of glad that Fubuki's not in that bad of a condition right now.
じゃあ、また検査入院とか？
はい、そう言ってました。だから全然心配ないって。
Okay, for some reason I feel like as soon as I see the line, there's nothing to worry about, there should be something I should be worried about now. As soon as someone says the line, there's nothing to be worried about. Oh no, Fubuki's not gonna have a good time in this ending, is she? Oh no.
なんだ。よかった。
Mayuri looked extremely relieved as Yuki continued to hug her. If I remembered right, the last time they examined her, they said it was possible she had the disease, but as long as it didn't get worse, it wouldn't affect her daily life. They just told her to come back for regular checkups. The new encephalitis had arrived in Japan over 6 months ago, but the number of patients was still increasing. Fortunately, there hadn't been a single casualty yet.
あれは病気なんかじゃないと思うけどな。
Yeah, it's likely reading Steiner. I was certain that what they were calling encephalitis was actually something similar to reading Steiner. One time, when I went to visit Fubuki in the hospital, I had secretly investigated the other patients. I wasn't able to get any proof, but I found out most of the patients in her wing had, to varying degrees, memories of the same world line. Many people had memories of Japan at war.
吹雪ちゃんに会えるかな。それがね、今 MRI で脳の検査をしている最中なんですって。だから病室にいないの。そうなんだ。でももう少しで終わるみたいよ。ここで待っていてって吹雪ちゃんのお母さんが。
Kaede motioned to Mayuri, indicating that she should sit down at a nearby sofa.
検査が終わったら声をかけてくれるみたい。
I let the girls sit down on the sofa and stood next to them while I surveyed the lobby.
すごい病院ですよね。
中瀬さんの家って実はすごい金持ちだったりするのか？こんなところに入院なんて。
いえ、そうじゃなくってですね。吹雪ちゃんのお母さんの話だと、日本とアメリカの政府がお金を出して新しい治療のプロジェクトを始めるみたいなんです。この病院とアメリカの専門病院や研究所が中心になってやるんだそうですよ。
Would it have to be, the psychophysiology lab? Would it happen to be the psychophysiology lab at Victor Condria that's, you know, the lab that Kaede's mentioning?
そうなのか。
I wasn't sure how I felt about that. If I was right about what this disease really was, it was hard to imagine a bigger waste of money.
お願いします。患者は全員個室にしてください。それも患者同士が接触しないよう、なるべく離れた部屋で。
I don't know why I'm laughing. Why am I laughing? God dang it. Here we go. Now we're actually getting into the Leskinen ending. Oh boy, here we go.
しかしね、そんな都合よく病床は空いていませんから。
それでもやってくれないとダメです。患者同士が会話をすることで夢の情報を共有してしまうでしょ
いや、それはそうですが。
脳というのはね、他人が見た夢なのに、それに共感を覚えてしまうと、あたかも自分が見た夢のように錯覚してしまう。そういう可能性だってあるのです。
Across the lobby, I saw an old Japanese doctor in a white coat and a big man in a suit who was frantically trying to talk to him. I'd seen the man in the suit before. Actually, it was a man I knew well.
教授！レスキネン教授！
I'd hurried over.
レスキネン教授！俺です。岡部です。
He must have been wearing his translator, because he was communicating with the old doctor in Japanese. Dr. Leskinen's face quickly broke into a smile when he saw me. Oh my god, I remember this scene in the anime. Yep, I remember this scene. I think I made a meme where Leskinen was a vampire during this scene and bit Okame on the neck. Yep, nope. I definitely did that.
レスキネン教授？
Obviously, that's not going to be happening. Well, it could happen. This is Leskinen's ending, so anything can happen. But I don't think Leskinen's going to bite Okame in the neck and turn him into a vampire.
Oh, Rintaro!
His voice was so loud that everyone in the lobby, doctors, nurses, staff, and even the patients turned to look at me. But Dr. Leskinen didn't seem to notice them as he ran over. He was like a giant American football player racing for a touchdown.
うわー、ちょっと待ってください、教授。ストップ、ストップ。
My cries went unheard as Dr. Leskinen tackled me and then pulled me up. Then he switched from football player to pro wrestler, and he swung me up and down. I felt like I was a little child. There was nothing I could do to resist him as he flung me around. A moment later, he noticed the cold stares of the people around us, and finally released me.
いやはや、すまない。あまりに驚いて、はしゃぎすぎてしまった。
Dr. Leskinen bowed to the people around him in apology.
レスキネン先生、この青年とはどういったお知り合いかな？
The doctor that Professor Leskinen had been talking to was staring at me suspiciously.
あ、その
I wasn't sure exactly what to tell him. It wasn't like he was really my professor.
見たところまだ学生のようだが、どこの大学かね？教授と同じ脳科学専攻だとすると。
いえ、俺は。
彼は9月からビクトゥ・コンドリア大学の学生ですよ。いずれ私の研究室に来てもらうつもりでいます。
え？
ほうほう、ビクトル・コンドリア大学かね。これは驚いた。
I looked over at Dr. Leskinen questioning me, but he just gave me a mischievous smile. This guy. He really was such a kid.
日本人であそこへ行ける学生なんてめったにいない。大したものだ。
どうも。
That is a menacing laugh, Leskinen. After the doctor left, I sighed loudly enough for Professor Leskinen to hear me.
今の人は？
この病院の院長だよ。
院長？そんな偉い人相手に堂々と嘘をついたんですか？
おや、私は嘘なんてついたかな？確かに9月から我が校の学生とは言ったが、何も今年の9月からとは言ってないよ。
Oh my god! Clever wordplay, clever wordplay.
それとも何かい？君は結局我が校に来る自信がないのかな？だったら少し残念だが。
He really was like a little kid, completely shameless. But still, it was hard to hate him. Indeed, it is hard to hate him.
でも驚きました。まさか教授がまた日本に来ているなんて。
It had been 5 months since I'd seen him off at Narita.
魔法も一緒に来ているよ。
そうなんですか？一言も教えてもらってませんが。
I talked to her often via email and video chat, mostly about Amadeus' testing, but she hadn't said a word about coming to Japan. I hadn't heard anything about it from Kursu either.
また和光の武装のオフィスだよ。クリスと一緒にいつでも遊びに来るといい。泥棒に入られるから別の場所にしてくれと訴えたんだがね。
Dr. Leskinen looked up toward the ceiling and shrugged. It did feel like that place had security issues.
ウィンタールはどこか具合でも悪いのかい？治療でここに？
いえ、違います。入院してる友人の見舞いで。
ああ、そうか。それはよか。いや、その友人にとっては良くないか。申し訳ない。
Oh man, Leskinen, you almost got yourself caught. You almost got yourself caught, man. Oh man, you almost got yourself caught right there.
いえ。それで教授こそ 日本の病院で何を？
Dr. Leskinen brought his face close to mine and whispered so that the people around us couldn't hear him.
君も知っているだろう。例の新型脳炎の件だよ。アメリカ政府の依頼で精神生理学研究所が治療法を研究していたんだが、手詰まりらしくてね。
Called it. It was the psychophysiology lab.
私も調査に加わるよう大学から命じられたというわけさ。
そうなんですか。レスキネン教授が新型脳炎を。
Now, there was a word I didn't expect to hear. I explained that my friend was here because they thought she might have the disease.
もしかしてその友人というのは中瀬克美？
Oh?
ああ、クリスマスパーティーで会ってましたね。
実は私が新型脳炎に興味を持ったのもあのパーティーがきっかけでね。君と克美が揃って倒れただろう。
He was right, actually. In my case, I'd been sent to that other world line.
克美には何日か前に再会したんだけどね。私にも何度か噛みついてきてよ。どうしてまた入院させられるんだ。私は元気なのにってね。
そうでしたか。
もう少し協力的になってくれると嬉しいと凛太郎からも伝えておいてくれないかい。
ああ。
実際のところキャツミだけでなく全ての患者に申し訳ないという気持ちはあるんだ。我々も日本の医師団も研究を進めてはいるんだけどね。どうにも解せない検査結果ばかりで困り果てているのさ。
You know, I'm gonna say this now to be fully honest. I think Leskinen is saying the truth. He's saying the truth cleverly. Like, I have no basis for this because I'm just going off of my own thoughts on Leskinen and his character, but I think he's truthfully actually, saying what he actually thinks. Cleverly, though, cleverly worded, like that statement of Okabe coming to Victor Conjuga in September. Like, I know this is a little bit more of a, a thought of mine that could be easily debunked through, what might happen next in the story, but I honestly think what Leskinen's saying here is worded so carefully that he's saying the truth, but at the same time, he's also still planning on going against the main characters. I don't know, I think Leskinen is a really interesting character because I think everything he says is the exact truth. He actually does like all the people around him, but at the same time, he also would use them to advance science. Even though he genuinely likes them, he would still, use them. I have to say, Leskinen is a very interesting character in that regard because he's not manipulating anyone technically with what he's saying right here, but at the same time, he is still being quite manipulative. Despite how, he's actually saying things honestly. He's doing the masterful technique of being so honest that he's actually being truthful, but at the same time, manipulative. God, I'm sorry, but I am praising Leskinen as a character right now. Like, I'm gonna be doing that a lot during this ending, but I honestly and truly believe that Leskinen is, one of the most honest villains that I've ever read in a visual novel. Because I think all of what he says is the exact truth, but he words it so carefully that you wouldn't see the, ulterior motive with what he's saying. So I have to say, he's really good at manipulation, in my opinion. I think he's extremely good at manipulation, which makes him a great villain, because he's so honest that you can't even tell you're being tricked. So yeah, I definitely think that Leskinen is a well-written villain. Dr. Leskinen's usually chipper expression darkened. The man was such a ball of vitality that I hadn't noticed until then, but when his smile disappeared, I could see the wrinkles that had formed on his face from exhaustion. He must have been working hard, like he said.
正直、最初はどの医師もこれほど不可解な病気だとは思っていなかったらしいんだけどね。どうしたんだ、レンタロウ。
その
Oh, he's getting so close to telling Leskinen something important.
何か気になることでも？
いえ、俺は医学生じゃないのでさっぱりです。
I was just about to tell him about my reading Steiner. Oh man! Oh, this ending's gonna be so good because I think Leskinen, he might not even try to force Okabe to confess. I think he might just manipulate him into just flat out telling him. Oh my god, I think that's what's going to happen here. Leskinen's gonna somehow, get Okabe to say the truth without, forcing him to. Holy crap. But in the end, I couldn't. If my uninformed opinion was wrong, it could cost the encephalitis patients their lives. I couldn't just tell him when I didn't have any proof. So it's not because he doesn't think Leskinen would believe him. It's because if he's wrong, people might die because of this. Oh my god, Leskinen, you are really good at tricking Okabe. Holy crap. I don't think Okabe even knows himself that he was about to tell something so insane to someone about the reading Steiner. He was about to explain it to Leskinen before he even explained it to Maho. Like, he barely even tried saying anything to Maho, but he almost said it to Leskinen. Holy crap. And then his face drew close to mine again.
ところで、その克美がなかなか興味深いことを言っていたんだよ。自分たちは病気じゃない。別の世界の出来事を夢で見る能力があるだけだ。とかなんとか。
I told her not to say anything about it. Could she not help it? This was bad. They might start to doubt her sanity.
中瀬さんはとても想像力がたくましいというか SF とかアニメとか大好きですから、他の平行世界を感知できる力なんて多分趣味の影響で口にしただけじゃないかと思います。
Parallel world. What is a parallel world? Another world which exists parallel to our own in another space-time. It has the same dimensions as our own world, and sometimes the people and objects within it are in the same exact place as our own. Another world. Wait a second. Technically, would you classify Steins Gate as a parallel world story? Actually, no. That's a stupid question. Absolutely! Absolutely! Steins Gate is a parallel world story. So, in the future, if any of you, talk about isekai, you gotta include Steins Gate, because technically, by definition, Steins Gate is an isekai story. By definition.
実は俺もそういうことを言っていた時期があるんですよ。
I tried my best to come up with excuses, but Dr. Leskinen still seemed concerned.
だけどね、私も治療プロジェクトに参加して驚いたんだが、確かにこの病の特徴として多くの患者が夢を共有する不可思議な現象が起こっているんだ。集団幻覚に近いのかとも思って今は調べているんだけどね。でもなんだろう、こんなことは初めてでね。脳科学的には今のところ解が導けない。正直 非科学的という言葉が一番しっくりくるくらいだよ。それこそ平行世界とか前世の記憶とかね。
Oh man, Leskinen is so close to figuring out the truth. He's so close to figuring out the truth. All he needs is Okabe to confirm it now.
そうですか。
君も克美からいろいろと話を聞いてくれると助かるよ。医者に言えないことでも友人になら話すだろうしね。
はい、一応心がけておきます。
さて、リンタロウ、それはそれとして確認だ。
Dr. Leskinen was looking over my shoulder.
クリスマスパーティーの時にも感じたんだけれど、君のガールフレンドたちはキュートなお嬢さんばかりだね。
You know what? Some part of me thought he was about to ask the question. You know what question I thought he was about to ask Okabe. You know what question I thought he was about to ask Okabe. But this line right here has the same energy as the line I was thinking. I'm not gonna say what I was thinking because at this point I think all of you should know. I think all of you should know what I was thinking.
え？
I turned around and saw that Mayuri, Kaede, and Yuki had all stood up from the sofa and were looking at me. When they saw Dr. Leskinen was looking at them, they waved.
やはりあの中に恋人がいたりするのかい？ユキ、カエデ、マユリ、ルカ、それともカツミがそうなのかな？
Are you going to ask about Ferris and Susa? Come on, man. Come on, you gotta include them. And include Daru as well.
No.
His words were so surprising, I couldn't think of anything to say. Maho would often call this middle-aged man a mischievous boy, and that was exactly the look he had on his face.
いや、別に無理に聞かせてくれとは言わないよ。君のプライベートを詮索する気はないからね。ただ、まあ、可愛い教え子にちょっとした土産話をと思っただけさ。
Dr. Leskinen turned to walk away before I could figure out what he meant.
それじゃリンタロウ、私はもうちょっと院長と話をしないといけないから、これで。できればユキたちにも一人一人ハグしていきたいところだったが、次回にとっておこう。彼女たちによろしく。
あ、はい。
Barry and the others came over to me as I watched him go.
今の人レスキネン先生ですよね。どこかで見たことあると思った。アメリカに帰ったんじゃなかったでしたっけ？おかわり？
There was no way I could tell the girls what Dr. Leskinen and I... Let me repeat this line. There was no way I could tell the girls what Dr. Leskinen and I were just talking about. After Fubuki's exam was over, we went to her room and listened to her complain, and then the visit was over. Just like Dr. Leskinen had said, she looked just fine. She told us she was ready to leave the hospital and jog all the way home. Mary and the others were relieved, but I felt worried. Did I need to talk to Dr. Leskinen about reading Steiner after all? But how would I explain it? It might be a better idea to talk to Maho and have her explain it to him. I couldn't come to an answer right away. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! I think I'm right! the Leskinen ending is gonna be the ending where Leskinen doesn't have to force anything out of Okabe. He doesn't have to force anything out of him. Okabe's just gonna confess everything to Leskinen right then and there. Oh my god. Yeah, I think Okabe's just gonna confess everything to Leskinen without Leskinen even asking. I think he's just gonna confess everything about reading Steiner and the time machines. Holy crap. Holy crap. I don't think Okabe's even realizing what he's thinking about right now. Holy crap! He's about to tell Leskinen about all this, despite all the conspiracies he was spouting a few months ago. Holy shit! I couldn't come to an answer right away. Holy shit! Hey, it's Suzuha! Whoa! Oh, is that her? Oh. I didn't get to see too much of it, but I kind of forgot. I kind of forgot her summer clothes, so I was actually a little bit surprised. I thought she would be wearing more of a military-ish uniform, but no. I don't know why I thought she would be wearing something more military-like for, her summer clothes. Well, maybe because she, first came to this timeline in the summer wearing, her soldier uniform, but now she's wearing more casual clothes, but they're still combative clothes. Interesting. It was a very hot day in 1998 when Suzuha said goodbye to Shina Kagari. She'd gone to get food and water from a local store, and when she'd come back and opened the hatch, Kagari was inside, screaming. She looked inside and saw that Kagari was slamming her tiny hands down on the control console.
お前、何をしてるんだ?
Kagari shrank back when she saw Suzuha.
違うの。これは、
Was she trying to go back to 2036?
答えろ。目を覚ましたら鈴葉お姉ちゃんがいなくて、真っ暗で明かりもつかないし、狭くて怖くて苦しくて、だからかがりドアを開けたくて、それであちこちいじってるうちにこんなことに。
Kagari started to cry.
ごめんなさい、鈴葉お姉ちゃん。ごめんなさい。でも、本当に怖かったんだ。だから。そうか。
Suzuha relaxed her guard. Kagari had PTSD from her time as a war orphan, and she hadn't fully recovered yet. Mary had once told her that she got very frightened in dark and cramped places. Okay, maybe Kagari's saying the truth. I thought she was trying to get to 2036, but... oh no. Okay, yeah, maybe she was not actually, trying to, steal the time machine to go back to 2036. Maybe. It would make sense if waking up in the dark caused the panic attack. And the time machine could only function with Suzuha's biometric authorization. Whoa! What? Biometric authorization? Whoa! That is advanced shit, man. Holy shit. Someone of Kagari's size wouldn't be able to break the console either.
お前は時間移動のショックで気を失ってたんだよ。だから休ませておいたんだけど、悪かった。
Suzuha grabbed one of Kagari's tiny hands to help her up, and then led her outside the machine.
暑い。かがり、約束するんだ。どんなことがあっても、操縦席のスイッチに触ったりするな。いいな。 じゃあ、私は仕事にかかるから、お前はその辺で休んでるんだ。飲み物と食べ物は適当に食べていい。
Suzuha handed Kagari the provisions she brought. They went inside and poked her head into the cargo space under the console. The control console, not panel. She connected the IBM 5100 she'd stored there to a portable terminal that she'd brought from the future. Interesting. By all appearances, it was an early 2000s cell phone, but inside it was a miniaturized quantum computer from the year 2036. Of course, future Daru had made it himself. When she booted up the IBM 5100, rows of numbers started to appear on the screen.
何をするの？
Kagari was looking in from outside the machine.
2000年問題は勉強したか？
Oh, wait a second. Is Suzuha about to solve the year 2000 problem?
施設の学校でちょっとだけ。結局何にも起こらなかったんでしょ？表向きはね。公表されてないけど、実は当時、あれのせいでいくつかの地域や国に深刻な問題が起きたんだ。そうなの？
Is this something from within the game only, or was there actually problems during the year 2000 problem worldwide? Was there actually any real problems? Hold on. Because I thought everyone had done their own securities to prevent the year 2000 problem. Or I might be remembering things incorrectly, though. This is what happens when you're born after, the year where everything was supposed to end. Yeah, I was born after the year that, the world was supposed to end because of the year 2000 problem in Y2K. Yeah, I was born right afterwards. Maybe there were problems, but I just didn't know about them, or this is just the game saying, some fictitious events. This might be a fictitious event, actually, yeah. Maybe, I don't know, actually.
問題だったのは、この IBN5100 というコンピューターなんだよ。
This is a fictitious event, okay. I thought so.
これには古いプログラム言語が搭載されてるんだけど、そのプログラムの問題点を技術者たちが修正できなかった。というより、そんな言語で書かれた重大なプログラムが存在すること自体、全く知られてなかった。第三次世界大戦はタイムマシンの開発競争が発端なんだけど、もしかすると2000年問題で発生したある事象とそれに付随する対立こそがもっと深い原因である可能性がある。
She didn't expect a 10-year-old like Kagari to understand this, but she didn't feel like taking the time to explain. I'm Kagari right now. I honestly do not know what Suzuha is talking about. Maybe they'll explain it throughout, the rest of this game, but what is Suzuha talking about?
しかも、西暦2000年というのは特殊な年でね。すべての世界線が一旦一つに収束してしまうらしいんだ。
Okay.
それに関連して、この問題があらゆる世界線の因果に重大な影響を引き起こすかもしれない。私たちが目指してる狭間の世界線、シュタインズゲートも例外じゃない。
She looked down at the terminal connected to the IBM 5100.
だからこれは2000年問題を起こさないようにするための修正プログラムなんだよ。
Right now, the terminal was converting the patch into the language used by the IBM 5100. The next step was to spread this program all around the world in the form of a virus, and the year 2000 problems that this era's engineers missed would completely disappear. The word connect appeared on the terminal subscreen.
OK. つながった。
She'd been told that in Japan, in this era, ADSL was still in ADSL. I don't know what they're talking about. Okay, so I think the ADSL that they're referring to in the game is asymmetric digital subscriber line, which is a type of digital subscriber line, DSL technology. Data communications technology that enables faster data transmission over copper telephone lines than a conventional voice band modem can provide. ADSL differs from the less common symmetric digital subscriber line, SDSL, and ADSL bandwidth and bitrate are said to be asymmetric, making greater towards the customer premises downstream than the reverse upstream. Providers usually market ADSL as an internet access service primarily for downloading content from the internet, but not for serving content accessed by others. ADSL. Okay, if I looked more into this, I might be able to understand a little bit more as to what ADSL is, but okay, the basic idea of it, I can understand now. Yeah, it's basically data transmission, form of data transmission through copper wires. Okay, so the other thing I'm gonna look up is ISDN. Integrated Services Digital Network, ISDN, is a set of communication standards for simultaneous digital transmission of voice, video, data, and other network services over the digitalized circuits of the public switch telephone network. Work on the standard began in 1980 at Bell Labs, and it was formally standardized in 1988 in the CCITT Red Book. By the time the standard was released, newer networking systems with much greater speeds were available, and ISDN saw relatively little uptake in the wider market. One estimate suggests ISDN use peaked at a worldwide total of 25 million subscribers at a time when 1.3 billion analog lines were in use. ISDN has largely been replaced with digital subscriber line DSL systems of much higher performance. Prior to ISDN, the telephone system consisted of digital links like T1-E1 on the long-distance lines between telephone company offices and analog signals on copper telephone wires to the customers. The last mile. At the time, the network was viewed as a way to transport voice, with some special services available for data using additional equipment like modems, or by providing a T1 on the customer's location. What became ISDN started as an effort to digitize the last mile, originally under the name Public Switch Digital Capacity, PSDC. This would allow call routing to be completed in an all-digital system, while also offering a separate dated line. The Basic Grade Interface, or BRI, is the standard last-mile connection in the ISDN system, offering two 64K-bits bearer lines and a single 16K-bits delta channel for commands and data. Although ISDN found a number of niche roles and some wider uptick in specific locales, the system was largely ignored and garnered the industry nickname Innovation Subscribers Didn't Need. It found use for a time for small office digital connection, using voice lines for data as 64K bits, sometimes bonded to 128K bits. But the introduction of 56K bit modems undercut its value in many roles. It also found use in video conference systems, where the direct end-to-end connection was desirable. The H.320 standard was designed around the 64K bits data rate. The underlying ISDN concepts found wider use as a replacement for the T1-E1 lines it was originally intended to extend, roughly doubling the performance of those lines. Roughly doubling the performance of those lines. What the fuck did I just read? I was just trying to understand what they're mentioning in this game, and yeah, it's digital systems and networks that they're referring to, but now I'm even more confused. She'd been told that in Japan in this era, ASDL was still in the test phase, and most normal users connected to the internet by low-speed dial-up using ISDN. But in major cities like Akihabara, universities, labs, and some big computer companies were starting to use fiber optic broadband. Some of them were even using virus LANs. Alright. Some more, technical terms. Wireless LAN. Okay, I know what LAN is. A method of connecting to the internet and sending/receiving data without the use of a cable. Yep, I knew what, wireless LAN was. And fiber optic broadband. A high-speed, high-capacity internet connection that uses optical fiber. Also called FTTH, fiber to the home. Instead of relying on existing telephone lines, it requires the construction of a new communications network. For this reason, adoption has taken longer than ADSL. As of 2010, 35% of Japan uses FTTH. Fiber optic broadband? Yeah, fiber to the home. I have no fucking clue what all this means. I'm gonna be honest here, I do not know what this means. I just read a lot of technical terms and I have no clue what they are. I don't know too much about, computers and connection to the internet. Despite being on the internet for all my life, I still have no clue how it works. Which, I think I should probably know a little bit. Yeah, I should probably know a little bit how all this works, so I might have to be doing some studying after this video. Suzuha cracked her way into one of those. Dad had laughed when he said that with 2036 technology, cracking late 20th century network security was a joke. But he'd been right.
でも未来を変えちゃったらカガリたちがいた未来の世界も全然変わっちゃうんじゃないの?
Surprisingly, Kagari had gotten the gist of what Suzuha had just told her.
そういうことだ。もうあの世界は存在させない。私たちはシュタインズゲートを目指すためにここへ来たんだから。
And this is when Kagari pulled the gun on her. Suddenly, the uneasy look on Kagari's face vanished. It was as if her soul had left its body. Suddenly, her face was expressionless, and her eyes were wide.
声。神様の声。聞こえる。
Uh-oh.
カガリ？ダメだよ。よくないよ。ダメなんだよ、鈴葉お姉ちゃん。そんなことしちゃいけないんだ。おい。
Kagari was acting strangely. Suspiciously, Suzuha reached her hand out toward her. But she slipped past Suzuha's hand, and quicker than any child should be able to move, she slammed her shoulder straight into Suzuha's body. Suzuha was caught completely off guard. That's how fast it was. Kagari's shoulder hit her in the solar plexus. She bent over and collapsed onto the seat. Kagari tore the terminal out of Suzuha's hands. The cables connecting it to the IBM 5100 were ripped out, and errors displayed on both screens.
お前、何を?
Kagari didn't answer the question. Instead, she grabbed the backpack that Suzuha had placed on the seat and spilled its contents onto the floor. There were MREs, spare parts, clothes, and a semi-automatic pistol. I know where this is going. Suzuha couldn't believe it. Kagari was going to try and pick it up.
やめろ!
She forced herself to ignore the pain as she jumped on Kagari's body. But another unbelievably powerful body slam knocked her back. Something cold was pushed right up against her brow.
動いちゃダメ。
Kagari's tiny hands were shaking at all as they clutched the semi-automatic pistol. In the space of an instant, the safety on the gun had been flipped off. That's when Suzuha realized that this wasn't just a temper tantrum. Suzuha was the one who taught her how to use a gun. That's why she knew that Kagari was perfectly calm.
正気か？今すぐ銃を下ろせ。こんな真似はやめろ。やめるのはお姉ちゃんの方だよ。何？世界を変えちゃいけないんだ。お姉ちゃんはおかしいこと言ってる。
There was no hesitation in her eyes. Instead, Suzuha sullenly resolved.
じゃあ、このまま戦争が起きてもいいっていうのか？そんなのわかんないよ。かがりは元の世界に戻りたいだけだもん。なら、もう無理だ。私たちはタイムマシンですでに過去に干渉してる。世界線だってずれてしまってるはずだ。あそこに戻れる可能性は低く。うるさいうるさいうるさい。かがりはママを絶対に助けるんだ。この世界を消すなんてダメだよ。絶対にやらせないから。
Kagari turned the gun towards the IBM 5100. Oh my god! She's gonna shoot the IBM!
やめろ。
She shot the IBM! Oh my god, how many times are you gonna shoot it? Before Suzuha could stop her, she yanked down on the trigger. God! She probably pulled down on it more than once. Holy crap. Again. And again. Yeah.
やめてくれ、かがり。やめろ。
And then, Kagari jumped out of the time machine. And Suzuha never saw her again. On every night that passed, she remembered Kagari. Suzuha had spent some time looking for Kagari when she'd first come to this era, but in the end, she never found anything. But Shina Kagari, who is now 22 years old, was here in Akihabara. Suzuha was sure of it. But it did no good to keep thinking about it. Wait, so did this incident happen in the timeline of Rita's Promise Me Saimento? Did this actually happen in Promise Me Saimento, where Kagari had attacked Suzuha and killed the IBN 5100? Did that still happen in the timeline of Promise Me Saimento, or... Huh. That's actually a really interesting question. Like, did Kagari every time actually attack Suzuha and the IBN 5100 before leaving her in 1998? Because in the timelines of Promise Me Saimento, it seemed like Kagari had just ran away. But here, it seems like Kagari had actually, actively attacked Suzuha and then, destroyed some of the things that she was doing. Interesting. Do things with Kagari change depending on which ending you're going for? Like, does what Kagari does change, or is it the same with every world line? But it did no good to keep thinking about it, so Suzuha decided to stop thinking and look around the room. Itaru, her dad, was playing yet another game populated entirely with female characters. His jaw was slack, and he was scratching the belly fats that stuck out from under his shirt as he played. There wasn't much to respect in him right now, either as a father or as a person.
そういえば、母さんとはうまくやれてる？
ね？
大丈夫？私が生まれてこなくなるような事態にならないよね。
なんつうの？タイムマシンよりもなんだい？
Oh! Daru! Daru! I almost yelled Okame because I'm so used to yelling at Okame, but now it's Daru's turn to be yelled at. Daru!
ちょっと。
Suzuha stormed over to Itaru.
困るよ、父さん。
うん。パパ、頑張るからね。
いっつも口ばっかり。 結局例の映画のチケットも無駄にしちゃったんでしょ？
She meant the pair of movie tickets that Mary and Ferris had conspired to give them at the Christmas party.
あれはさ、オカレンと吹雪氏が倒れちゃったじゃん。その後お見舞いとかでバタバタしてるうちに映画が終わっちゃってたわけで、しょうがないっつうか。
Fair point.
でもその後新しいチケットを用意しようとしたら断ったって聞いたけど。
誰に？
まゆ姉さんとルミ姉さんに決まってるじゃないか。
そりゃあれだお、マユシとフェイリスターに頼りきりなんて男らしくないっしょ、キリ。
で自分で何か行動に移したわけ？ダメだこれ。
You can't force him. You can't force him. It's likely going to happen naturally anyway, so you shouldn't force him to do anything, Suzaha. It's probably going to happen naturally. Maybe this was a more important problem than the time machine. Suzaha brought her hands up to her head.
いい父さん。私いつまでもこうやってお説教できないんだからね。もうすぐ行っちゃうんだよ。
Suddenly, there was a sad look in Nitaru's eyes.
そういう顔しない。約束したはずだよ。もう迷うのはやめにしようって。
For the past 6 months, Suzaha had been thinking about whether it was really right to erase this world. I'm gonna repeat that. For the past 6 months, Suzaha had been thinking about whether it was really right to erase this world. But in the end, it was none other than Itaru who would push her to go ahead.
ごめん。
She couldn't bear to see her father so depressed, so she patted his broad back.
しょぼくれてないで母さんにメールして。予定の空いてる日がないか聞いて。で空いてたら映画に誘う。
いきなりハードル高すぎ。
高すぎでも何でもいいから誘いなさい。いい？これは命令だからね。
命令って。
返事は？
さあ、イエスさ。
Satisfied, she headed off to take a shower.
でもその前にちょっとだけコンビニに行ってくる。睨まないで。なるべく太らないようなものを食べますんで、何卒お許しを。
バニラ。
はい。
私シャワー出たらアイス食べたい。バニラ。
わかった。庶民がなかなか口にできない高級なやつをいっぱい買ってきてあげる。
いっぱいはいらないよ。一つでいい。
さあ、イエス。
That was enough to cheer Daru up. He took his wallet and ran out of the lab.
やれやれ。世話がかかるんだから。
She had just about taken off her jacket so she could take that shower. But
鈴葉。
Itaru had come back into the lab.
どうかした？
階段のところにさ、こんなの落ちてたんだよね。
Itaru showed her a keychain he was holding. Oh shit. It was a round anime character whose color had faded to a smoky green. It was an Upa. Oh shit, Kagari came by. What? Wait, what's going on here?
誰のかわかる？
まゆ姉さんじゃないの？
She leaned forward to take a closer look. and then felt like she was experiencing deja vu.
このウーパー、どこかで。
Come on. She'd seen it before? She couldn't really remember when, but her internal alarms were going off. This keychain was extremely important. Upas were common enough that you could find them anywhere. The plastic edges had worn down. The paint was faded and coming off in places. But there was no dust, and there were no stains. Instead, it shone brightly, as if its owner had put a lot of effort into taking good care of it. The chain was so old that part of it had snapped off. That was probably how it got dropped.
どこだっただろう。どこかで見た。
Come on, Suzuha. You should know where this comes from.
マユシに見せてもらったとか？
そうなのかな。
She stared at the green Upa in Itaru's hands. And then, in her mind, she heard a young girl scream.
ママがずっと大切にしてきたウーパのキーホルダーだよ。かがりちゃんにあげる。してね。
She gasped. A feeling of indescribable terror raced down her spine.
まさかこれ。
Oh, it is! It is!
かがりのか。
That was when she'd last seen it. August 13th, 2036. The day she'd gone into the time machine. That's when she'd seen this Upa. It was older and more worn now. But the more she remembered that day, the more certain she became. This was the Upa that Mary had given to Kagari. She'd seen Kagari holding it and crying to herself many times before.
かがりってもしかして未来のマユシの娘？
うん。
見つかったん？
いや、でも向こうはこっちを認識しているんだ。
つまりどういうことだってばよ。
あいつこのラボを監視してるんだよ。
6 months ago, Suzuha had spotted someone in a riding suit spying on the time machine at Radicon. She gave chase, but they got away. Suzuha was certain that person had to be Kagari. Ever since then, her careful efforts to defend the time machine had paid off, and she hadn't seen any sign of Kagari, but she never thought she'd be surveying the lab as well. Interesting.
いや、ちょっと考えれば当たり前のことだったんだ。あいつは私たちがシュタインズゲートに到達するのを阻止しようとしてる。この世界をなかったことにしたくないと思ってる。ということは私だけじゃなく父さんもマークされてる。
え？僕？
まあ父さんの命に危険はないとは思うんだ。世界線の摂理を信じるなら父さんは少なくとも2036年までは生きるはずだし、ただシュタインズゲート到達を阻止するために父さんの研究の邪魔はしてくるかもしれない。
A lot of bad things had been happening around Suzuha, Itaru, and Okabe Rintaro. There was some possibility that the final target was Itaru.
これからは用心のために私がいない時には必ずドアに鍵をかけておいて。
わかった。
No questions. No questions. He's like, alright, I'm doing it.
オカリンおじさんや母さんやマユ姉さんたちが一緒にいても絶対に開けっぱなしはダメだよ。気休めかもしれないけど ドアチェーンもかけた方がいい。
でもさ、オカリンやマユシならともかく、アマネシと二人きりの時にそんなことしたら、なんか別の意味で怪しくね？アマネシに変な誤解されないかな？
それは確かに。
もしそれで嫌われでもしたら、我が家のピンチだお。
Suzuha groaned softly, unsure of what to do.
父さんがもっと早く母さんと恋人になってれば何の問題もないのに。
で、結局そこへ話が戻るとか？
とにかく注意だけはしておいてよね。
Suzuha decided to keep the green Upa I'm gonna repeat that. Suzuha decided to keep the green Upa keychain. She softly ran her fingertips over it as she stared at it.
なあ鈴葉、かがりたんって血はつながってないけどマユシの娘なんだよね。
そうだよ。
あのマユシに育ててもらった子が人を襲うような恐ろしい人間になるのかな？なんか鈴葉の話とイメージが重ならないっつうか、もっと優しくてホワホワしてて可愛い女の子になってるんじゃないかなとか思ったり。
You're in the wrong world line.
だとよかったんだけど。私も前はそうなると信じてたけど、今のかがりは多分。
From what she'd seen at Radicon, she could tell Kagari had definitely received professional combat training. It wasn't just simple self-defense techniques that she learned from Suzuha when she was a child. As she'd grown up, she'd been taught the cool techniques of a killer. There was no way to know where she'd been, or what she'd been doing, ever since she'd gone missing in 1998. But there was no doubt in Suzuha's mind that she was trying to ruin her plans. And with this cliffhanger, I'm gonna end this video. I'm about to load. Right here, right now. I was not expecting for a Kagari storyline, but as I think about it, that does make sense from, well, I can't really say much, actually. I can't really say much because that would be a spoiler, but there might be some connections between, well, Kagari Shina and a certain neuroscientist professor.
OK, OK.